do some enslave antics. Wow, he killed those pretty fast. It's funny how relatively weak this character feels compared to something that actually has HP. Can't do anything fun with this species because it just falls over. More viable. It is more viable as a null, yes. But it actually has bad to hit, that spell. It misses a lot. Probably they did that because they know it's multi-hitting, but the other bolt spells don't have as bad to hit. Wizard's fun. I like Wizard. Wizard's an easy, above average class. Now, if you want to play a challenging human, try Humo, Unarmed Combat. That's probably the hardest. That's the hardest human to play. Well, it would be Huck actually, because Zom can just randomly kill you, and you have to deal with Zom the entire game. Yeah, Wizard's a pretty fun class. First ever Null I played was Null Wizard, 1-in-1. First ever Null. Yeah, Transmuter would be better than Monk for sure. I actually have I have a video for it. It was a human transmuter of Gozag. And it was a pretty easy game. That was a 1-in-1 as well. I don't know that I would really recommend Gozag in terms of fun factor. It's obviously a really strong god, pretty universally. Reasonable enough. Oh, also, now you can... Blade Hand's got a buff where you can use spells. Yeah, it is a silly... It's something to try once just to see all the wacky stuff you can do. It's not something, you know... Even as far as challenges goes, it's... You could design better challenges. But certainly, it's fun to have to win at least one Zom game. If it's pretty easy for you to win games of Crawl, every now and again you'll feel like playing Zom, because once you get to the point where you can pretty much win any character, it's just like a little bit of extra challenge, and it's like, okay, I haven't done something like this in a while. As silly as some of the challenges in this game are, it's kind of nice how it has that variety. Zom is a little bit annoying, and you'll definitely be glad the run is over once you finish it. It's been some time since about a year and a half. Yeah, I mean, Wizard, I wouldn't even consider Wizard... I would say Wizard is challenging for newer players because they don't really know how to play it, and they don't know how to do spellcasters, so as a first win, that's certainly a challenging thing. But for people who are okay with winning mages, Wizard is pretty straightforward. You get to cast a bunch of different schools of magic, at least in the early game, and then you kind of pick one, maybe based on what kind of drops you get, either from your god, if you're going Sif or Veh, or just from the floor. It's also a fun class to sort of do a mix of both spells and melee if you like that. Not that you have to with Wizard, but it's fun. Definitely not the top tier book start, but not even, you know, Venom Mage is probably the weakest one. Conjurer is, I would say, actually a weaker start than Wizard, just because Wizard gives you access to summons and Conjure Flame. It's just that Wizard has this thing where you want to find sort of better spells or some means of doing damage in addition to your starting spells, which is kind of the fun aspect of it. Whether that is something like a boost from a god or melee, or finding better spells of a certain kind that you can develop. So there's pretty good variety from Wizard. See if we can't get some enslavement going on here. Oh, did I didn't memorize Bolt of Drain. These guys looking. Why don't you guys go over here so I can repeatedly zap fireball at you. Maybe get some fireball action going. Yeah, Zom is about knowing what the effects he can throw at you and knowing what the honestly, when you see the effects Iggy, you'll just be like, okay, well, I think I know what I do to this, and that's it. Most of them are not going to be too interesting. OD, yes, but I'm not really interested in OD right now. Honestly, I'd probably be more interested in Iron Shot. I do have Freezing Cloud, which would be a nice little spell to pick up. It's actually I wouldn't even take all that much Ice Air to get it castable. I don't have, do I have any more Amnesia? I don't. I'll go ahead and pick up Bolt of Drain as my multi-hitting spell. And yeah, if new players would sort of struggle a little bit depending on the player. It always depends on what kind of person. Fire Elementalist is just a lot more straightforward. For even a Conjurer is going to teach them how to use sort of like one fairly similar class of spells, as opposed to making them also think about summons and making them also think about cloud spells. They'll be mostly thinking about beam targeted spells, with a few exceptions. I mean, there is Fulminant Prism and Dazzling Spray, which are somewhat unique. You probably say the same thing about fire magic, because there's a few different kinds of fire magic spells. There's Conjure Flame, there's Fireball, then there's Bolt of Fire. Poison arrow. Sorry, I don't got the spell levels for it. So yeah, I've been saying how I'm gonna do nice miscast. Hours of coding, 3 hours of sleep. Oh, it's the city. It's the orc city. Go way too overboard here because raise it to the ground. Let the orcs die. The cursed race. It might, yeah. It might have exactly 4 shops. What would the odds of that be? Exactly 4 shops on Orc 2? You're kidding me. Exactly 4? That happened to me too. Yep, there'll be an extra shop. Due to a DES loading error, corrupted DES file, an extra shop got generated. It will have only buggy rations. You eat them and you crash the game. Shorten the breaches. What do you mean by breaches, Piper? Let's see what this is over here. Sounds like Sonic. Oh hey, it's Sir Nuts. I like a lot of his remixes. Oh, branches. Oh, you were saying breaches for a while, and I was really confused. They shortened them mostly because they were just not very interesting extra levels in most cases that just made the game longer and sort of helped you grind extra XP to make your character stronger when your character didn't really need to be stronger for. So we try to. There's still more that could be like reduced for in this game in terms of like, you know, just levels that feel very samey. It's still a really long game. Like at the rate I'm playing, it's a good 8 to 10 hours playing at a pretty casual pace. I tend to play slower than most, probably because you can see me doing some silly things every now and again, like that D12 level. But you can win this game reliably in anywhere from 5.5 to 6.5, 7 hours if you're playing faster and still be pretty safe. It depends on what kind of character, but it's still a really long game. Oh, there it is. I forgot about the MP +4. I totally forgot that it had that. Powerful. Powerful MP bonus. Okay, so this, I don't know, many of these rooms might have emptied out. No, those have not. So those are still full of orcs. Do a little bit of digging. Set up a safer spot. This is what I was really hoping to have, a kill area like this in that level of that D12. Now they woke up. Now they emptied out of those rooms. Probably, yep, there's the High Priest. We're gonna finish him up with a fireball, so we don't have to contest with demons rushing us down. Oh, god damn it. Here we go. What's the other one? Gotta really watch out for those orc sorcerers. We see those guys, they can paralyze us, and if we get paralyzed, we're gonna have a bad time. They really did wander out. Oh, there's another High Priest. Yeah, it's not a very, I mean, it has, I think it's got the base AC of a hat, so it provides no AC. And, I mean, regen MP for most spellcasters is not, it's helpful, but it's usually not worth sacrificing an amulet slot, let's put it that way. Speaking of amulets, do I have, I would really like better amulet than Gourmand here. Two shops. Wow. There's our blink scroll back. So we get a little bit low on teleport too. I didn't realize I had so relatively few. Speaking of magic regen, do I want that over Gourmand? It's kind of similarly not super useful. This is sort of like a bit more spell spam. What is my hunger looking like for all my spells? Already pretty low, to be honest. I'll go ahead and put that on. Grab that. Staff of Old Grip, wow. That's a lot of flavor. We will for sure buy that other blink scroll. We'll put these on the old shopping list, see what else, because they're a little bit pricey. Yeah, it's just, there's usually better effects I could have. Honestly, wouldn't mind a G-Spirit on this guy, because the max HP situation is really awful. It's really nice to have much more of a leeway HP wise. Like you can deal with suddenly losing a bunch of MP, but ultimately you can't deal with a loss of HP when it gets down to 0. Hope I find neutral. Yeah, well, really, Spirit Shield is really good on a caster if you're if you're wanting to survive. Like those situations where I got rocked in the face by a Cyclops, I would have so much more HP left. They're actually surprisingly good for not dying. Eventually you become so strong that it's relatively less impactful, but it would have been really nice to have on the D12 because I have magic pods. I can get MP if I need it. I can't get back HP from -20 though, from taking a large rock to the face. And Yogi's giving me not like this, but Yogi, he doesn't have too many mage wins in current versions. It's because what did he die to the last time? I don't actually know. Yogi's style of play is very fast and sort of loose. So he would probably, I guess he would get killed if he had G-Spirit. But hey, talk about a Reflect Amulet. That's pretty good. Bunch of SH. If you get a medium shield, then the Reflect aspect starts making more impact, but it's mostly all that SH is really nice. You could block a large rock. That would really be helpful. Yeah, there is a side effect, but it's just that usually if you're taking a huge amount of damage, you're going to immediately deploy some kind of escape mechanism. And that's quite often not a spell, to be honest. Might be something like, well, might be a movement, it might be a heal, it might be a blink scroll, stuff like that. So our Orc Priest is dead. 3 shops. This is the 3rd shop. Will there be exactly 4 shops? Oh, the human wizard. That's right. Human wizard didn't survive. He's a more of a... I feel like probably the best Yogi mage is probably Gree, because he has a bunch of AC, and Earth spells are good. He does have low HP, but he has all that extra AC, and that's better for Yogi's sort of style of play. He doesn't really like to slow things down. He's not like Iggy or I or other people who play carefully. Watch Hellmonk too, he's Heck Priest in chat, but Hellmonk is his name, but on Twitch he's Heck Priest. He's a good follow for really good crawl play. He maintains a very high win rate. He won't do stuff that's quite as crazy as me, like he wouldn't have done that D12 nonsense probably. But he does all sorts of challenges and stuff, and it's a good stream to check out if you want to see somebody who plays carefully, and he wins games pretty quickly too. He's faster. He wins faster than I do, but I don't really care about speed. I like to have sort of fun just playing and chatting and whatnot. So not the best to watch if you want to see somebody like try to blaze through a game. Like I can win any character in this game probably in one try. Maybe it would take me a couple depending on how I'm playing at the time. And that's how a lot of people get to eventually. Yeah, the game has it's still permadeath. I mean, for all the in-game lookup, there's some things you're probably not going to look up when you should, and you'll die. It's a lot of try it out and die, and then try something better the next time. So it's certainly a very steep learning curve, but you can play some of the easiest combos and get a win actually pretty quickly. If you play something extremely strong, like Maybe is usually touted as an example. If you're a little bit more ambitious, there are stronger characters by far, like actually Deep Dwarf Berserker, Deep Dwarf Earth Elementalist. Those are extremely strong combos. If played reasonably correctly, Worship Maklub, you can get a win very easily with a character like that. But even Maybe is also pretty easy. If you're really, depending on how confident you are learning a game like this, I would say you probably want something more like a Maybe. Deep Dwarf. I have a 2-hour win video on my YouTube, and it's a Deep Dwarf fighter. That's so far my fastest win, and that's like a speed run style. I would say style, not actual speed run, because a real speed run would be like an hour, sub-hour. Well, there's a lot of orcs in this box. I guess I may actually shout here. Come on, friends. This might be an okay setup for Fulman and Prism. We'll do it for Iggy. Aww. Oh, he got smited. That's hilarious. Let's try it again. Let's try it over here. See if he gets smited again. Okay. That's so funny. I'm gonna die anyway. I don't think the detonation's gonna do much for me. These guys are yeah, real speedruns are. I've done a bunch of like turn count summoner speedruns of all things, which is not a popular genre of speedrun within this game. Turn count runs are the style of speedrun I tend to like more because they don't force you to play like fast. There's not that mashing your face against the keyboard as fast as you can to try to save time feel. This is not really a real-time game at its core, and I mean, it's still a fun sort of challenge, but it's just not as interesting to me generally. The turn count stuff is cooler. You are very dependent on what happens RNG-wise, and there are a lot of things that are just well beyond your control, which is also true of the real-time stuff, but it's especially true for turn count. The turn count lets you decide, I'm going to do this turn, I'm in a ton of danger. It was sort of like turn-by-turn version of what you saw there on D12 when I was trying to not die after getting myself into hot water. Well, guys, I don't believe it. There were exactly 4 shops in Orc. I don't know how it happened, but it did. Other armor of cold resistance. Wow, Jeepicus likes tab. That's amazing. Oh, actually, not the worst purchase there. Ring of Mikey. This is not a Mikey character. This is a so-called blaster caster. The antithesis of a Mikey character. Mikey were playing this Deep Elf. I would probably have weapon skill. Maybe I would be worshipping Oka. Who knows? But some other god, perhaps. Maklub. Yeah, I think turn count is, as far as challenge runs goes, I feel it's much closer to the real spirit of the game than real time is. Real time is certainly, like, melee is it's, you know, the use of tab, it certainly favors that. But I think this is fundamentally, you know, it is really a turn-based game. It's not, that's why turn count is more interesting. Overall, I think there's also much greater variety of strats that you can pull off in turn count. Like you see the Chabrados runs, which have all sorts of success, but you also see conjuring characters like Purple Red has done to take world record, and there's some variety in the real-time stuff for species. It was like Minotaur, and then it shifted to Deep Dwarf. At one point, there was a record briefly held by Formicid. So there's a little bit there, but it's just there's less. The strategy is not so much in your overall approach. It's just I think it is just like execution essentially, which that's appealing in its own way, but. Yeah, what people doing the 15 rune turn count runs, they don't have to do that quite so much. They sort of should, but the turns involved that you have that you can spare are much higher. If you do a 3 rune though, you absolutely have to do like each turn excruciatingly carefully, and I agree that is annoying. And if you look at the runs that are like 10,000 turn ascensions, they are auto pickup is absolutely turned off because they are deciding whether or not to pick up each thing. But now the turn count, the scores are getting low enough even for 15 rune that you have to think about that too. But there's more of a margin, so it's a little bit nicer. But there's also a whole ton of extra content that you have to deal with. You have to get all 15 runes, so I guess that's sort of a trade-off. Oh yeah, Sally, I mean, I think the game is overall best experience casually for sure. It's more just to get some variety and have a fun challenge to race against that people come up with their own kind of challenge categories. And if you don't like those style challenges, there are more kind of like grindier, somewhat easier challenges like dupes and dues. I've not done one of these myself because I don't find them super interesting, but I think they're overall, if you're not going for like world record level real-time or turn count, those are a thing to look into because they're just sort of hard to figure out and route, but they don't require turn count shenanigans. They don't require playing super fast.